Okay, so here we are. This is COVID and Cigarettes, the interview diaries with Omar Bakry, who is a New York based artist, writer, and director, and who has also a very, very interesting background. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Omar, welcome. Thank you so much for being with us today. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So,
I'm a
Omar,
bit shy.
no, don't be. This is, that's chilled. It's all among us. So tell us about yourself and your background. You were born in Sweden, but you grew up
Hmm.
in Egypt. Then you moved to New York to study fine art. No, sorry, to study movies and visual arts.
Hmm.
And you
Hmm.
already had a background in fine arts.
Yeah. I studied visual arts in Egypt, fine
Hmm.
arts, in Cairo University of Fine Arts, and then I started moving into film, and
Hmm.
so came here to study film in 2006, and I fell in love with New York. And so I came here, and theater and film started kind of together. And then I really got into theater when I entered, Roger's class.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, things have been moving along from there.
That's right,
Mm.
because you're currently attending the Roger Simon studio as both writer and director. So that's basically how you heard about us and about COVID and cigarettes.
Yes,
Thanks to Roger.
yes. Thanks to Roger. Roger, yeah, Roger has been, really helping me get my stuff out there.
Hmm.
Yeah. And yeah, I learned a lot from him as well. Yeah.
No, yes. So did I, just by watching your classes. So were you like, did you spend a lot of time in Sweden as a kid, or you moved straight
I
to Cairo?
No, no, no. I spent time. I was 10 years old when I went to Egypt.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, it was a culture shock
Mm.
because, they're very, very, very different environments. Uh, Sweden is very nature and quiet and calm, a lot of
Cold.
space, cold, very cold. And then Egypt is the complete opposite. It's hot, it's crowded, it's very vibrant. And I was from a big house. I was living in a small flat. Yeah, it
Mhm.
was culture shock.
Wow. Okay. And then you went to uni and you got your degree in fine arts.
Mhm.
What was your visual art medium? What was the medium that you preferred?
Well, I went through everything really. I started out with pencil, ink, and then I went to watercolor, gouache, which is a water-based color,
Uh,
and then oil and acrylics. Yeah. So it was compulsory to go through everything, but my preferred medium is ink and gouache, which is a
mhm.
water-based, color.
Yeah,
These are the most two that I use.
I also went to art school, so yeah, I know.
Ah, so you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. We have a well. I studied actually fashion and textile design in Milan.
Oh,
So yeah, so the first year was like basically arts, like in general. So we tried all mediums, and we have a different name for that in Italian. But yeah, that's a liquid watercolor. Yeah,
yes,
used
yes.
it a lot on my first year, and then from the second year we could go digital. Right, that was it. And that it was
That was
Photoshop.
done. That was done.
Exactly,
Mm.
Photoshop and Illustrator all the way through, because we didn't have time. I love
Right.
playing with that, but just no time. So we had to
Mm.
produce mini collections and collections, both
So
fabrics and toys. So
you were a fashion designer. I'm sorry. I
I
know it's
trained
my
as,
interview,
yes.
but I'm yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, we just chat. It's like a talk show here. Yeah, no,
Right.
yes, yeah. Trained as a fashion designer originally, and then I shifted. Okay,
Nice.
great. So let's talk about COVID and cigarettes, and let's talk about your play BRB. So you basically you put your production there, time worms, right? And you had like your whole crew to work together with you. So let's start with your script first. What inspired you to write BRB? What inspired the story?
Well, how it came about was Roger, in the middle of the lockdown, in the heart of the lockdown, when everything was very dark. I believe it was April. Horrible time. Roger, we were taking classes online with Roger and still adjusting to that. So it was claustrophobic. And Roger came and told me that Urban Stages is having a competition that he wants to refer me to, a 10-minute play competition. And so he referred me, and I got the guidelines. And the guidelines is the play had to revolve around an acronym. I didn't even know what the word meant back then. I had to look it up. But yeah, so the play had to revolve around an acronym. So I had to choose an acronym and start to come up with a story. And of course, I was very already choked from the lockdown
Mhm.
and being in close quarters with even the people you love. Just you're used to going out, coming back, but being stuck all the time in the house, especially in the beginning when we were all scared. We didn't know, going out seemed almost like going out into a war zone. So I had that feeling. And then I was watching the news, and there was this ship that was quarantined off the shore somewhere, and they got the people in the cabins. And some people were in the economy cabins in these luxury cruises where there was no windows. These tiny cabins, two beds and a bathroom. And they were interviewing a girl that was stuck in one of those cabins with her grandmother. I think it was a
Mm.
graduation gift. She took her on a cruise, I don't know, to the Bahamas or whatever. And
Mm.
then they got stuck there for weeks. And so I said, "Oh my God," and they were trying to remain positive, and but I really felt. I said, "I'm complaining because I'm stuck in, with family members, and but imagine stuck in that cabin." Um, so yeah, I had to come up with this. I said I want to do something related to that because it's timely, the quarantine, the coronavirus. And then I kept, coming up with which acronym should I use for the play. And then BRB stuck out because, we're all on media, and more than ever, we're reaching out to relatives and in touch with people electronically. So I said it would be very interesting if half the play would happen, and then somebody would drop a piece of news, and then say, "I'll be right back." And the rest of the play is what happens after that news is dropped. And so the idea came from there. Uh, yeah, so I had to create those. I created two characters stuck together in the cabin, and one of them gets a piece of news, and then the drama between them begins.
Yeah, and it's got quite a twist as well.
Yeah, yeah.
We're not. Yeah.
But it went through. I mean, Roger, the studio really helped me with that because I struggled with that play. It was the first time I write a 10-minute play. I'm used to writing, two-act play.
Hmm.
This was the first time I wrote, so it's different
Yeah.
because you have to compress everything into 10 minutes, and I'm not used to that.
Sure.
And so I struggled, and I would take it for notes and go back and then pull my hair, and and then finally, it came together very well, I think.
You got a.
And it
You
was
got a.
taken in.
Uh, you got an
You were
amazing
saying?
cast. You got an amazing cast. A great setting,
Thank
and
you.
really, really great videos and like screening and stuff. When we watched it in Hong Kong during the premiere, we were like, "Wow, that's so cool!" And then, like everybody was, so I was like not saying anything because I knew what was coming, but because I watched it many times before. But like those who were watching were like holding their breath, and they were like, "Oh." So without spoiling the surprise, we're not saying too much, but it's got a strong twist. So for those who haven't watched BRB yet, don't waste your time. You still have about a month. Make sure you watch it. Sorry, continue.
I'm happy you guys enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it was great. So how was you guys like had basically like your because you have a production company, Time Wars production company.
Yes, yes. Me
So,
and my wife started in 2014,
mhm,
uh, and we're currently making a film which is produced by Time Words.
yeah,
In other words, it's produced by us. But
yeah, great.
that's our company's, yeah, our company's name. But Time Worms was not really involved in this. This was actually shot in my son's room.
Was it? Okay. Who wouldn't
Yes.
have guessed?
Yeah. We actually we turned because my son his room is in the basement with no windows,
Oh, okay. Okay.
and so we wanted to simulate a cabin, a tiny cabin.
Sure.
So we went, uh, we put these two small beds, and the bathroom is on the left, and the door of the cabin that you see in the film is actually, it's just like a door to the laundry room. And we created the frame to make it look like a tiny cabin, and we worked with lighting and sound effects, and
Yeah.
but it was very minimalistic, but I'm
Yeah, but it
glad you
works.
guys, it
That
worked, yeah. I
sometimes
mean,
sometimes that's all you need, the basic stuff. You need a good story.
mm,
Like I realized by doing so many shows in Hong Kong, so many plays, what people really want, good stories and good actors. And that's it.
yeah.
And the rest is frills. I mean, if you had the money, if you had the budget, you can splurge a little bit on a set, sure. But if you don't let that stop you from doing things. That's all, you know.
I wanted to, I mean, originally I wanted to make it an authentic recording of, it's almost like you're filming on stage.
Yeah.
And that's the basic thing. We said we're gonna build like a small theater set,
Hmm.
you know uh, and even we didn't want to light it in a film way. We wanted to light it in a more organic way to give to give that feeling of it's a recording of a theater piece. And then Roger, I didn't even want to do close-ups, but Roger told me,
Hmm.
look, I know you don't want to do something that's film, you want to do something more theater, but he told me in theater recordings they do close-ups. They actually do close-ups when you
Hmm.
watch a recording of a theater play. They do close-ups and they go back into the face and they cut back. And so he persuaded me to add in the close-ups. And I think it did my actors more justice because now they can use it more for their reel.
Sure. Yes. So your actors were Hayden Noor and Fadi Kerko. How was it to?
Yes,
I mean, I'm assuming that you guys know each other well. How was it to work with them?
I've worked with one of them before,
Hmm.
many years ago.
Hmm.
He's Fedi, and
Hmm.
he's fantastic. The one who plays Tarek.
Yeah.
Um, I know him from a long time ago, and as soon as I thought of casting the play, him and the character sort of came together, and I knew how it was to work with him. Haysam, um, I have gotten to know him recently, and we became friends. And I heard he's an actor, and I know of some of the shows he was in, but I had never worked with him. but he was
Mhm.
such a lovely human being. We became, one of those people that you become friends with, and just lovely human being.
Yeah.
Yeah, what happened?
No, you're still there.
I can't. Oh yeah, but I can't see you. Oh yeah.
Oh,
So anyway, so I told him, I told him I'm doing this. Would you like to be in it? And he read the script and he got very excited, and he was fantastic to work with.
that's
Uh,
excellent.
yeah, and I would recommend those two actors, for anybody who they're sincere, they're hardworking, very professional, and extremely talented. The two of them.
Hmm. Well,
Mhm.
clearly, we could see that on the video. Have you worked with Eddie Liu before? Eddie is also part of
Yes.
the Roger Simon group.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Yes, I was very fortunate to have Eddie. I recently I produced one of my play in a festival called the Winterfest in New York.
Mhm.
It's a play called Superman and Serena. Um, and if you guys are interested, there's a YouTube recording of that show. If you
Please
type
share.
Superman and yes, I could, of course. I'll send it
Please
to you.
share.
It's not very well filmed, but it's a recording. Um, and actually I entered Simon's studio class to because I had only directed film. I had never really directed stage. So when I got my play taken into the theater, I was a bit panicky. I was like, I don't know how to do theater. So I started. My wife took theater with Roger, and she told me you have to join this class. And so it was a great learning experience for me. And Eddie, is a wonderful associate director there, and him and Roger, the heritage. Uh, you know, Roger has been in the business for 50 years.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, he worked with people like Tennessee Williams.
Yeah.
Incredible story,
Yeah.
incredible heritage. And so just being in the class, even if you just being there, seeing him teach other students, you learn so much. um, and so when the play came, I had learned I could now direct theater, but I said, why don't I take Eddie with me, as to help me out
Hmm.
as I said, as dramaturge. And
Hmm.
I went and told him, Eddie, would you consider, and he was delighted. He's like, oh yeah, of course. And we worked together. He would sit back, he'd let me go. I would go and I would, direct and stuff like that. And then he would come in and he would put his touches. Sometimes when I went too much, he would pull me back. He's like, just take it easy, sit down. And the combination, the result was good. And Roger was very pleased with the result. And the audience, the audience seemed to grow every night until the final night. It was full house almost. And so, of course, when BRB came, I told him, Eddie, can you come and work with me again? And he said, of course. And so he works. We work together. I'm the front guy who goes into the characters and what their intentions are, and I don't know what. And he has these wonderful touches from the great heritage and
Mm.
experience he has.
Yes. Every time I get invited to your online classes, Rogers classes, it's like I get wired. In fact, like for me, like it's really early in the morning. Now it's a little bit better because you guys start around 6 p.m., which means it's 7 a.m. in Hong Kong. Okay. Yeah, no problem. The first time I joined, it was like four, around 4 or 5, maybe 5 a.m. in Hong Kong.
Oh,
So dragged myself out of bed. I'm like, yeah, I know it's early, but I really don't want to miss it. And it was like the equivalent of taking 5 coffees and 3 Red Bulls, like
yeah, yeah,
wired.
yeah, yeah. It gets you wired. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredible class. Yeah. mm.
Yeah, so much
Because
energy.
I've taken other classes. I've taken. Mm.
Hmm.
It's not the same. This is and the great thing is that it's also they're very into contemporary time. They're
Yeah,
not cut off, but they also bring this great heritage and so much experience.
yes,
Mm,
yes, yes. No, it's amazing. You see in that room so much, well, online room, so much energy, so much talent, so much dedication. Seeing Roger like operating, it's just like so inspirational,
mm.
and it's amazing. I want to be like him when I grow up. I just want to be like him.
I'm sure you
So
can.
no, it's fantastic. Yeah, well, working towards it, so we'll see. And also, your wife Angie was involved. She was the prop master, and she had a little part in it as well.
Yes, she's the room
Little,
service. The room service with
yeah,
the
she had
prop.
a little cameo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife, who is actually the lead in Superman and Serena. I mean, I think she's a fantastic actress. And she did a minor of theater in Egypt in the American University of Cairo. And she always when we first met before we got married, she always told me, my most beautiful days was when I did a minor of theater in Cairo University, and we used to do costumes and this and this.
Mm,
I said, okay, okay. And of course, once we got together, I put all of that to use. Uh, and she did the set, which I think is great. She did the costumes, and she has her cameo.
yes,
Mm.
yes. She also has a very interesting background. She's Egyptian, but she grew up in France.
Oui, oui.
Right.
Mm.
Amazing. And how is it like how is it to be like a minority actor in Hong Kong? In Hong Kong, sorry, New York. You guys like, do you get opportunities? Do you get like more that you feel like bringing your own work to have your own voice? How is it?
That's a very good question. It's we are in a very interesting time. I like if you go back 30 or 40 years, it
Mm,
was very difficult,
hmm.
excruciatingly difficult for a minority actor uh, to do anything. The opportunities would be much less. You know,
Mm,
Now, especially in the last 15 years, they are very consciously wanting to push minorities into the business.
yeah.
And you have shows coming up about minorities. You have films, you have grants, you have whole theater companies that are actually built on that idea of voicing how it is to be a minority. And so there is more opportunity. Okay, there's more opportunity because the politics are pushing the arts in that direction um, more than ever. Of course, the issue with that is, again, you fall into stereotypes because
Mm,
uh, like a lot of the plays that I find, there's a whole movement of plays of how it is to be a Middle Eastern in America, or how it is to be an Indian in America, or how it is to be this in
hmm.
America. And unfortunately, the effort behind it is good and the idea is good, but the the understanding sometimes becomes more simplistic and it becomes stereotypical. So
Hmm.
that's the short end of it. So
Yeah.
Angie, for instance, has been applying for a lot of roles, and the roles she gets, you can
Hmm.
see a similarity. The Middle Eastern mother,
Mm,
and when you read the parts, there's stereotypical similarities And so, but I think it's a work in progress. um it's a work in progress. I myself,
Sure.
most of the stuff I write, because it's personal, I usually write from my personal experience, is about the experience of an Egyptian in New York.
Hmm.
Superman and Serena is about, even though it's about psychiatry, it's about dual personality disorder, it's about
Hmm.
an Egyptian in New York. And the film we're currently producing is called Abdul Sinaya. It's a black and white silent. It's about two Egyptian peasants who can't speak English and read or write in New York. Uh, so yeah, that's my 2 cents on that subject.
Mm. As you said, like it's a work in progress. It's interesting. It's yeah. I lived in Australia and remember the stereotypes, yeah, there, especially for Italians. If you
Right.
wanted to act in some, yeah, videos, sitcoms, TV shows,
Hello. Hello.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, okay, I can still see you. Yeah, part of the Italian immigrants are coming from the south of Italy. Like a family of like 8 people and so forth. It was like very stereotypical. But on the other hand, at least you had something to do. So yeah,
Unfortunately, when a certain society has a stereotype image of another society, you have to work on breaking that image, and that in
yeah,
itself becomes a barrier.
mm,
It becomes what it's about, and it's about much more than that.
yeah. Of course, of course. It's
You
about
Yeah, you're trying to say I'm not this and I'm not this, I'm more than this. But in saying that, that becomes all you say. This is supposed to finish, but I guess we have to go through it. There's no other way.
yes, before
Mm.
breaking those barriers. Yes, and as you said,
You
like it's
have
a
to
work.
break the barriers, then
Yeah.
you'll be free. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But as you said,
Mm.
like we are in a better place. The world is
At
going
least we're trying to
towards.
break the barriers. Yeah, at least now we're hitting
Mm,
the barriers. Like, enough of this. Yeah. So
exactly. Yes.
yeah, that's good.
Yes. Yes. So, what? Of course, like you saw your own car when you like when COVID and cigarettes was out, so you knew what to expect of yours. Did you get the chance to watch the other shows?
Of
Did you?
course, of course, of course. Yes, I did, and it squeezed. It was very moving, because then you see how everybody is in the same, in the same boat. All these people, uh, you know, creating and hanging on to hope and striving in the middle of this, this very difficult time. And and they're all wonderful stories, really. So moving, very human.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
It's
So I recommend that every single one of them you watched, because they're all, different sides of the same ship.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
Mhm.
That's why like I try to pick as many like as many different places I could, and like with different situations and stuff, because like there's such a big spectrum of COVID, and we are all in the same boat. But I wanted to see like what people went through in their own lives, and I wanted to show that. Of course, like there are a lot of similarities, but Hong Kong is dealing it with in one way, New York is dealing it in another way, Europe, the Middle East, and so forth. So it was interesting, fascinating to
But
watch.
it's fascinating, but it's also, as different as the stories and the places they're coming from on. We're all in the screens.
Yes, exactly.
And it's frighteningly different but similar at the same time.
Hmm.
I found it very moving, on a human level.
Thank you.
Uh, yeah, and it's a great effort, really, on your side.
Thank you, and thank you for being part of it. So, let's talk about your work. So, you mentioned Superman and Serena,
Mhm.
All I See, and of course, BRB. These are your latest works, we can say.
Yes, yes, yes.
And
Uh,
mhm,
yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, what are you working on at the moment, and what are your future upcoming projects?
Well, I'm currently working on in theater. I'm currently
Mhm.
working on a rewrite of Superman and Serena.
Okay. What is it
Mm.
about? What's the story? What's the story focusing on?
The story is about psychiatry, and it's about um, inferiority complex.
Hmm.
You know, I've had quite a run in with psychiatrists,
Hmm.
and psychiatry is a work in progress. And I found that if the psychiatrist has issues,
Mm.
okay, you can know the science, you can know the knowledge, you can even work within a clinical structure. But if you have issues, sometimes those issues interfere in the way you heal people.
Mm, of course.
Mm. And so I found that aspect very interesting. That
Hmm.
some, okay, if you're a psychiatrist and you're there to heal people, but your issues are interfering in the healing, what's going on here? You know,
Hmm.
and is that good or bad? So I got all these questions. At the same time, um, I saw, especially growing up in Egypt, uh, I saw uh, what racial inferiority complex does to people. When you, and it's on a very subliminal level. It's also African Americans feel it here in America, and a lot of minorities. It's there, but they don't feel it. It manifests in different ways. So yeah, I came up with this idea of an Egyptian family who are very well to do, very well established, but they have this severe racial inferiority feeling inside of them, and what kind of impact that has on a family. Um, and so it's about this doctor who has massive issues himself, treating a patient who has severe side effects, psychological damage from racial inferiority complex. And what happens is his issues or his condition and her condition, they knock heads.
Mm,
They have a conflict of interest,
right.
and that's what the play is about. Superman and Serena. It's a conflict of interest between the two conditions.
Okay. Okay. No, it sounds like a very very like, what's the word, um, story that we can relate to nowadays, especially especially during COVID, like,
Yeah.
um, which which
The men are
magnifies everything.
mm, yeah. And Angie is the one who acts the patient. She's supposed to have. Well, I don't want to ruin the play. I'm not going to say what she has, but she does a fantastic job, and it came out well. But because I had a time restriction in the festival, so the performance we did I could not fully stretch out the complexity of the characters.
Hmm.
And so now I'm rewriting it, without the time restriction. So it's,
Okay.
yeah, stretching its wings kind of.
Okay. Okay. Well, I would love to watch it or read it at
You
some
can.
point.
We are actually going to do a reading of it in Roger's class
Oh, okay.
in January. So please, I
Okay.
was going to let you know. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I'd love that. Okay,
Mm.
great.
And
I'll
I will
sign up for
send you
it.
the link so you can watch it on YouTube.
Awesome. Please do that. Excellent. All right,
Mm.
Omar, let's talk about COVID-19 and the way it affected you artistically or otherwise. How have you been coping?
Uh, well, the main thing that happened to me was, of course, I lost. In the beginning, in the severe lockdown, it was almost like an alternate reality. Almost a
Mm,
state of
mm,
your disbelief. And I stopped going to the studio, my own private studio. I stopped going to the classes. We stopped going out. The kids stayed in school, and
mm,
so I think everybody suffered from that. Uh, Everybody suffered from that, and in the beginning, personally, I didn't feel I was suffering. I felt I was just getting through it.
mm.
Uh, but then the side effects come out later. However, however, uh, you know, creativity I find helps you cope and sometimes triumph over these hard times. And
Mhm.
BRB came out of that. You know,
Yeah.
I wrote BRB. I was involved in the class with Roger. I got to know you guys, Aurora Theater, and so good things do come out. Um,
Yes.
it's a mix and match, I suppose. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm.
Did you did you have like some particular big plan for 2020 that got cancelled or postponed because of the situation?
Not to do with theater,
Okay.
uh, but actually theater. As I said, theater. I was going to do the rewrite of Superman and Serena, but the lockdown it made me do it made me do BRB.
Hmm.
uh I had other plans in other realms, but
Hmm.
I was going to do a fundraising event for my film, and now I'm going to have to do it on Zoom probably.
Mm, right.
So yeah, nothing major, nothing major.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Mm.
that's glad to hear. Everything
Mm.
has been put on hold. So,
Because Superman and Serena we finished it 2 weeks before the lockdown.
oh, okay.
Yeah, so we
Good timing.
just yeah we just made it. 2 weeks
Right.
after that, it would have never been made.
Right. Wow. Okay. Yeah. No. We're on hold with our last show. We managed to perform in March because there was like a teeny tiny little window between normal life and COVID that opened up, and we were
Mm.
able to go on stage. We were, I think, the only production company, theater production in the community that was able to go on. Everything
And
else
people
was scrapped.
came.
People came, yes. The people at the theater, they said, we are a private venue, so we can keep open. If it had been a government venue, forget it. So they can open. If there is a case of COVID in the building, they'll have to close down. But luckily, there was no case of COVID in the building. So thank goodness we were able to go ahead. Lots of people came, sold out, in fact, great. But we had big plans for that. We wanted to go to England. We wanted to go to the Edinburgh Festival. And of course, none of that happened. So
Oh, it's a shame. Yeah.
next time, I mean, it's still there, it's ours. So yeah.
Hmm. It definitely is. But then you came out with this COVID and cigarettes, which is wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. I needed
Mhm.
to do something else. Like, I'm not waiting for next year to do something.
No,
So
forget it.
yeah,
Yeah. No,
exactly.
correct.
So when you can
Yeah.
when COVID is finally over, what will you do? What will be the first thing that you do when all of this is over?
I'll go to the theater.
Very good.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I'll go to the theater. I'll go to the movies. That's the two
Yes.
things I miss the most.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes,
really.
thank.
Mm.
Yeah, at least we have Netflix. We can watch stuff there.
It's not the same.
It's
Oh.
not the same though. Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
we got something. So, Omar, do you have a favorite playwright or a favorite play?
No, no, it's very difficult to narrow down to one favorite. I have made I have a lot of writers that I love and I find and I know have an influence on me. Of course, you cannot really escape Shakespeare. It's impossible.
Hmm.
Even if you've never read him and you write and then you go back and read him, you're like, oh, I was influenced. I love another major influence, Samuel Beckett, who's extremely different, but I love Samuel Beckett, John Osborne, and Tennessee Williams. I love Tennessee Williams. Uh, yeah, I mean, I would say those are my major few influences.
Hmm.
Mm.
Do you have a
Difficult
favorite
to,
play or
no, it's very
no?
difficult, very difficult. Yeah, yeah, because it's difficult to compare, Waiting for Godot to something like Othello to something like, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. It's
Yeah,
everything gives you something different. Yeah.
yes,
Mm.
that's true. And tell us, among your work, is there anything that you are most proud of the work that you've done?
I would say BRB because of the circumstances. Because of the circumstances that BRB was for the first time in my life. Because usually when I'm creating, but there's nothing. Life is normal. I'm happy. Everything is going, and it's just trying to come up with good work. BRB was more than that. It was overcoming extreme harsh circumstances. It was overcoming, darkness. It was overcoming limitations. It was overcoming, fear. It was overcoming doubt. And I find that in many respects, that's the most powerful aspect about art. Is it makes you transcend the elements,
Yeah.
and so more than any other piece in my whole life, I think BRB really represents that. And yeah, so yeah.
BRB, yeah, it's definitely something to be proud of. So I I
Thank you.
think it was like one of my first picks actually, because Roger sent it to me. Well, Roger put me in contact with you, and you sent it pretty quickly. So I thought I read it straight away as soon as I received it, and I thought, yeah, I want to have this in my collection, definitely. I don't know how we're gonna do. Like, I was thinking, I still didn't know at that time the involvement that you guys wanted to have. So I was like, okay, this is a great piece. I don't know how we're gonna do the boat. I don't know where we're gonna get Middle Eastern actors with a Queen's accent in Hong Kong. I don't know any of that, but we'll figure that later. I'm picking this, and then of course, like you guys graciously stepped in, wanting to get involved, and Roger was connecting you with me and all other people like Eddie and so forth. So it was like a huge level of generosity that I was incredibly touched by the whole thing. So it was absolutely fantastic to have you guys, and I was so glad to have this piece in the collection to work with you. So
I
thank you.
mean, thank you as well, because the involvement in the festival gave us all immense hope and passion, in a very dark time. So, thank you as
Yes.
well. Mm.
Pleasure, an absolute pleasure. So, Omar, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you.
So, for those who haven't seen BRB as part of COVID and Cigarettes, please don't delay it any longer. Now it's time to watch it. BRB Remember that. And of course, you should watch all the others as well because they're awesome. So there you go.
Yeah, it's
Omar,
all great stuff. Yeah.
thank you. Thank you so much for being with us today. All right.
Thank you, Nicole. Take care.
Thank you.